That's pretty good. Maybe we'll have a few more at the end of this. I've been interested in prediction models for a long time. My degree from the business school, where I originally studied prediction modeling for financial reasons, to try to make money and predict bankruptcy outcomes and financial outcomes and that kind of stuff. And that's where I did the bulk of my training, and that was where I was headed. I wasn't really interested in statistical prediction models in medicine until the day after Christmas, 1989. When I'm playing basketball in the Middle America, and yes, that's Ricky over here from Vegas, and that's Matt. But right after this picture was taken, I called my doctor, complaining, and I came in the middle of the night, go to sleep. Next day, drenched again. Called my doctor. My doctor was my mother. Called my doctor at this point. And she did go to college for medical school. She has the Merck Manual Home Edition. You have it? It's pretty good. I'm sure you'd recommend that highly. And so she's like, I got this. So she's flipping through. She goes, okay, I need you to feel your armpits. You feel anything in your armpits? I go, no. The same old armpits I've always had. She goes, feel it in your neck. You feel it in your neck? And I go, oh, yeah, actually on the left side there's a huge rock sticking out under my collarbone. There is something in my neck there. She goes, okay, I need to refer you to a specialist at this point. Long story short, I have Hutchins disease, which ordinarily would be a pretty big choice in the cancer supermarket, and still is, and my tests are pretty good. I'm a stage 2, and then I'm a bone cancer positive, and I'm stage 4. And so I'm in the PhD program at this point, and studying in financial prediction. And I asked my oncologist, I feel pretty good. I can play basketball. This is working a lot of innings and tennis at any day. So, I start the day. Okay, so the night. That's my only thing. How serious is it? I start to wonder, gee, should I be worried about this or not? And he says, well, I know you have the Merck Manual Home Edition. So, if you're worried, look at it in there. You go there. Basically, it's a picture, something like that. 50-50 long term. And I just don't feel like I'm on a curve. It looks like that. Maybe I am, but it just doesn't. That's when I start to wonder where does this come from? This is the way medical prediction is done in the cancer world, and I compare that with what I'm studying to do when there's opportunity to make money. And I think the way you develop prediction models when there's money on the line is quite a bit different. That's going back and forth in my head. It's very frustrating because I go to see him the next week to talk about this particular issue. In the waiting room, and next to me is a little old lady in a wheelchair with an oxygen tank, and comes up and got the tubes in her nose, and I don't know, every bit of 90 or something. But she's also stage 4 Hutchins disease. And I'm looking at it, thinking, oh, no, this isn't. And I go into there. Now I go to the room to meet my oncologist. And both guns loaded. I'm out there with Betty. Do you tell us the same number? Because this is what we're supposed to use when we want to know, Doc, what are my chances? Oh, well, it's also not for comorbidities and things like that. Maybe this would need some tweaking. And by the way, I'm going to treat you as a stage 4, but you're not a stage 4. You're more of a bad 2. And there's no curve for bad 2, which frustrates me more. I'm trying to figure out my prognosis. I think that's better than a 3. Otherwise, we just do kind of a 3. So bad 2 must be slightly above. And then I'm just like, boy, this is really messed up. If you're really trying to predict as accurately as you can, I don't think that's the way you would do it. I think you would want to adjust for more stuff. You want to tailor it much more to that patient in front of you, the way you would, a financial institution, maybe on the brink of bankruptcy. You'd look at all sorts of financial ratios and taking into account lots of information. You wouldn't put the bank in a box necessarily and say, oh, the banks in this box are the same. That's what you do. it's not for accuracy is my complaint. We're dropping patients down a tree. It's a little classification tree that's moderately primitive, and that's how we're doing prognosis in cancer staging world. And these are all over in medicine. They're not just cancer staging systems, but they're particularly focused on this issue at the moment. We're just, we're looking at features of the patient and then dropping this patient down the tree. Why we do that? Because it's easy. We've always done it that way. Been around for centuries. My concern is they don't predict very accurately, and there's heterogeneity in there. And I think other approaches, progression models, do a much better job at getting rid of that heterogeneity. And I'll try to show you what I mean by that. We started out with something near and dear to my heart, which is the best gimmick ever for my career, where I found the work of Frank Harrell, where we're taking a Cox regression model built on the first 983 prostatectomies done by Peter T. Scardino and modeling their recurrence. So this is for a man recently diagnosed with clinically localized prostate cancer, wants to know how well surgery is going to work for him if I get surgery. Doc, what are my chances? So find his PSA axis, if it's a 10, go straight up, he gets 57 points for that. What does the stage show? If he's T2A, go 10 points for that. What's his biopsy result? Just keep going up on each of these. Get the total, go down, get 120 total points. Mr. Smith, if I have 100 patients just like you, I'd expect 61 of them to be 5 years later following surgery. Just running it through a Cox model and keeping them out of SAS. And just put the coefficients on a friendly 100-point scale, then I get the linear predictor. And I can get a predictive probability. Just as a way of facilitating predictions at the bedside, to try to take into account more information and not chop things up the way a staging system does. If you're not basically on a tree, you got to draw cut points in your continuous predictor. I don't really want to do that. I also don't want to make a table out of this. Same reason. I got to chop up PSA. I got to come for what? 0 to 4? So I got to put all these guys in the same box? I don't want to do that. Take everything. That financial mindset where the goal there is to out-predict all of you guys, my competitors. I just want to out-predict all of you a little bit and hold that. That's all I ask. Beat you by a little bit and hold on and just watch you go down. That is the goal in the financial industry. Cutthroat prediction. I don't care if I understand the model. I don't care how easy it is to use, maybe. I don't care what insight I'm getting or molecular pathways I'm getting. It's flat out prediction. Granted, that's a little extreme, but that's where you are over there because there's money. Here, it's the reverse. It's sort of like, well, you're kind of this and kind of that. It's crazy. There's like a better middle ground. Because I think if we are able to focus on making the best model that we can from an accuracy perspective, and try to get that to the bedside, maybe as a nomogram like that, standalone software is probably a better idea. Probably the best idea is just build it into the health record. That you take care of the patient, get the best predictions that you can with no extra work, not typing things back and forth. But I think if we do that, I'll try to convince you 2 good things that will happen. Just one is the better patient counseling on the doctor my chances, but I think we'll make better treatment decisions too. I'll show you some examples of that. I get sloppy on my terms here. Well, this would help if I followed my own rules, but I don't really won't. So what I mean is, so we cut data, we build a model off of that, out comes an equation, we represent that as a nomogram maybe, or put it in an online risk calculator. So when I say nomogram, I probably mean all this stuff. So try not to beat me up too bad about that. Ask questions along the way too, if you get confused. So I think of, I am, at the end of the day, I'm agnostic on how the modeling is done. I think the focus should be on accuracy and the comparison of accuracy and performance metrics. I used to be much more of a machine learning kind of guy. Even back in the days of my dissertation and coming out of that, I was very fond of that. I thought it was cool. And in my hands, I could simulate data where that would do a better job. But once I started getting real-world data from Mother Nature, I got disappointed. And a well kind of done modern regression model, as Frank Carroll would call it, it outperforms in my hands some of the cooler stuff. Unfortunately, it'd be much more fun if it were that way. That's not a condemnation of all cool stuff, but push comes to shove, I would go with the regression model probably. But think about accuracy, so don't chop up my continuous variables, keep them continuous, but don't force them to have linear effects. Don't really do variable selection. That's going to do more harm than good on the accuracy perspective. So try not to do screening, don't worry about p-values, but try to make all the decisions doing your best job at predictive accuracy. So now I'm less concerned with statistical significance of my predictors. I'm really not even that concerned with assumption violations, because those chickens will come home to roost in the end. Because you're comparing a method that's a black box, and I can't even tell if it's doing something strange. But if I'm looking at accuracy, if I really concentrate on that, then I'm less concerned with what's going on as we get there. But if it's all the pressure on, how am I going to measure that, and what do I mean by that? Probably the market leader in performance metrics, the concordance index. Most of these outcomes are tied to event types. So in that setting, I'm going to form all possible pairs of patients. So patient 1 with 2, 1 with 3, 1 with 4, 2 with 3, 2 with 4, all possible pairs. But in the time of it setup, I'm only going to keep the pairs where the patient in the pair with shorter follow-up time has the event enders. I'm going to eliminate pairs where the short follow-up guy gets censored. Because in that pair, I don't know who did better. But if the short follow-up time guy had an event, I know he did worse than the other guy. Even if he had an event or not, he had longer follow-up. So in that pair, I have a definitive answer. This is the proportion of pairs, using pairs like that, where I got the ranking correct. Did I predict the worst outcome for the guy who actually produced? That's the C statistic. I think probably these days on the predictive tools side of things, probably you can't stop here, but you probably shouldn't omit this either. Everybody expects to see that for one reason or another. I think it's still a helpful metric, but let's start with that. And we'll compare models that way, but then look at implications of an improvement in the C statistic. Because the hard part of this is, what does improvement by 0.02 mean? I have two rival models going head-to-head on neutral data. They have a 0.74 and a 0.76. Perhaps I would prefer 0.76, especially for a clinician to warm up to. Should I really switch to 0.76? That's really making a big difference. I think looking at scatter plots of predictions help eliminate that. So here I'm going to take patients who are treated in the community setting and run them through that nomogram I showed you slides back to prostate cancer. And you get predictions for each man in a data set. So I have a predicted probability coming from that Kattan model that I showed you. Also, for the same man, I'm going to have his risk group as determined by the predominant risk grouping system for prostate cancer, just by NCO and Harvard. So I put them in the risk group. If I go head-to-head and look at something like a concordance index, pretty much no question the regression model is outperforming this three-level tree. But it's the implication of the predictions, I think, is very interesting. So. These are patients who fell into the low risk group when classified by the predominance system. So this axis, yes, the risk group down here it looks like a little tree. Out, right. It looks at the TSA greater than and if not, what's his cleat? Dropping down a tree, that puts him in the low, intermediate, or high. That's this side, the x-axis. The vertical axis is the predicted probability coming from mammogram. Just comparing basically prediction versus prediction. Well, this is what the clinician's using. So my hurdle is to get the clinician off of this and get him on it back. My C statistic is pretty much going to look at. It's going to look better over here, but that's kind of not enough for clinical impact. You're going to have to convince the end user that it makes a difference. And I think plots like this would show. Because if I look over here, not so much here, these are the patients in the low risk group. When I plug them into the Cox model, they have between 75 and 100% chance of freedom from recurrence, or pretty low risk. It's the stuff like the intermediate and the high. So here's a high risk patient. So if he's counseled by the clinician using the system, he's going to get some pretty intensive therapy. It's high risk if you don't get surgery. This guy is high risk, I think. He's got about 1% chance of making it 5 years without recurrence. This guy's about 95% chance of making it 5 years without recurrence. And how does this happen? When you're dropping a patient down a tree, the tree is very unforgiving. You can have a PSA that's 0.1 over that cutoff, and boom, you're in the tree, and everything else about it might be rosy, but you have one slight elevation on one marker. The tree does not care, right? Once you're in the end of the tree, doesn't matter how you got there, that's your group. And so you're going to get counseled and treated that way. Here's a guy from our place. He's trying to figure out what to do. He's been recently diagnosed clinically localized prostate. So first, you have to be careful because, at least for our side of the border, you can probably get treated by the first guy you see. You go to the urologist, get surgery. You go to the radiation oncologist, get radiation. You go to the GP, you get nothing. Or something, delayed anything. But there's a lot of preferences going on there, and it's pretty well documented. So we tell this guy, make sure you get multiple opinions. Shop around a little bit. The first he goes to the radiation oncologist, who says, congratulations. You're in the favorable risk group. There is this is a tree recently published in JAMA with thousands of patients in it. Dropped him down the tree. He has an 80% chance to get 5 years without recurrence should he choose radiation. That's great. I'm going to go see the urologist. And he goes up there. Run him through the number I showed you, 68% chance to make it without recurrence 5 years. The urologist says, when do you want your surgery? The patient says, nope, I'm getting radiation. The urologist says, why? Well, I just came from there. I have an 81% chance of making it 5 years without recurrence if I do that. Oh, how did he get that? Oh, he had the paper and jam him. There's a paper and jam him. He dropped me down a tree. Oh, well, did he not use mammogram, which head-to-head on neutral data out-predicts it? No, he didn't do that. Well, let's do that real quick. Okay, fine, doctor. What is it? 79, 82? No, it's 24. It's not 81. You have a 24% chance of making it 5 years without recurrence. 81? No. Head-to-head rival prediction model on neutral data, I would guess 24, not 81. Ouch. If you think about how few patients would ever make it through that much, the vast majority went to 81 and stopped and supposed to do this thing. Question? Scratching. Okay. Quick stomach cancer example, just to learn this out. All right, you have been recently actually treated for gastric cancer. You say, doc, what are my chances? Doc will pull out the AGCC staging system. That's a sure bet. Put you in one of those curves. Maybe the progressive doc will pull out the nomogram that on neutral data out-predicted by at least a little bit. And better hope he does if you are for example, stage 2. This is the group that fell in with the staging system. This is the predicted probability coming from the tool that's predicting. If you're 1A, life is good. Don't worry about it so much. But as you start to move up, if you're a 2, you may have an 85% chance of being in 5 years. You may have closer to a 5. Anywhere down to 2. So it's this heterogeneity, I think, that gets in the way of lots of things. How you should be treated gets in the way of our trials. How do we design trials? Well, all right, eligibility criteria number 1, you should be at least stage what? 3A. Okay. You think this guy needs harsh stuff? No. What about these guys? Oh, yeah, they do. Okay. You need to be at least a 2. Well, we really want to treat these guys. We need to start drawing the lines vertically, I think. And I fortunately have been involved in 3 trials that have used as eligibility to predict the probability coming from models. Is that lower than X as a freedom from some bad thing? Then that's your first eligibility in terms of the risk aspect of it. To better define high risk. And it's not perfect either, but we should probably be doing the best job we can, isolating the high risk patients and not treating the lows for all sorts of good reasons. But if I run a model versus a risk group, I'll get a little bit or a lot better improvement in the C statistic. Those are prostate cancer examples. Those are other cancer examples. The take-home message I think there is the same. If you're willing to do the extra work and the extra hassle of running a model on an individual patient, I think you can get something out of that. So, well, if I've been diagnosed with something recently and I'm looking for a prediction from my doctor, and I'm asking doc, what are my chances? What's doc going to do? Because I think in large part this is an issue of alternatives. So I'm pushing hard clearly for still models. Wouldn't have to do that. That's one that probably isn't doing that. But if I'm looking for a number, well, let's just start here. Let's get out of that. Deny the ability to predict at the individual patient level. Doc, what are my chances? They're patient, not statistic. Statistics are for groups of patients. You're an individual, Mike. You know that. Like you're going to live or die. And nobody knows whether you will live or die. So what does 82% mean to you anyway? You're getting 82% alive? That's stupid. So don't worry about the predictions. I have a huge conflict of interest. I should disclose. As we know, chair of the department is at the office of that. I have to have an answer, so we don't go home. My answer, unfortunately, is the game of Russian roulette. So I brought with me today 2 pistols. They are both 6 shooters. They both potentially hold 6 bullets. And I'm going to put 1 bullet in this gun and 5 bullets in that gun. We're going to play. You go first. Are you indifferent with respect to which gun you want to play? But wait. If I pull the trigger, I'm either going to shoot myself in the head or not. No one knows what's going to happen. The same thing here. It's very helpful to me as a decision maker to know one out of 6 bullets. I get it. You can't tell me I'm a 0 or 1. Got it. But I would like to know, if you treated 100 guys just like me, did 99 live? Did 8 live? I know I could be the 7, I could be the 1. That is helpful to me. I rely on imperfect predictions when I leave the house with an umbrella or not. When I go to make a financial investment, the world is, you can't escape that. But I think here too, it's a disservice not to give some estimate of prediction. And in fact, you do have to convey your best estimate of benefits and harms as per the Belmont report. So let's get out of that real quick. I wouldn't stop here. I mean, why would you overall average all patients at a P statistic of 5? To beat that pretty easy. The patients in a risk group, at the time, you might as well just do it right away. You're now predicted. The way out of this pathway, though, is to go, knowledge and experience. So, Mike, I'm not going to plug into that nomogram. I know you want that, but I'm not going to do it. Because I know much more about you than a nomogram. Nomogram has 3 inputs. I know all sorts of other stuff about you, and I know not just the PSA that I need to plug in, I know your history of PSA. I know what the stage was before you got here. I know lots more about you that I'll take that into account. The nomogram won't. So, no way, I'm not going to do it. All right? Let's make vignettes out of the first 10 patients operated on in 1994 at Sloan Kettering. Got them out of the electronic health record on a sheet of paper for each patient. Put down all the stuff I can find. All the PSAs, all the family history, staging, grading, anything that looks moderately relevant to prostate cancer is on that sheet of paper. Also hand out the nomogram. Also show on the sheet of paper what 3 pieces went into the nomogram. Hand it to the doc and say, here's what the nomogram predicts for that patient. Doc, what do you think? Look at the other stuff. Is it too high? Is it too low? What's your number? You can stick with the nomogram prediction if you want. You don't have to. 17 urologists looked at those, and they went the wrong way. They did not stick with that prediction. They took the extra information into account and made the prediction worse. They were able to successfully reduce the concordance index from 67 to 55 by taking the extra information into account about the patient. Let's move into advanced prostate cancer. This is rising PSA after definitive therapy. Who should you act on aggressively? Here, I was able to take over an advisory board for a company that's got a drug in the setting, and this was in the audience now is a who's who of medical oncology and prostate cancer in the advanced setting. And I hand out this sheet asking them, if you had 100 patients just like this, how many do you think would have a positive bone scan 1 year from today left untreated? Look at this stuff. So I handed this out, and they said, what is this? What are you doing here? And I said, well, I want to look at what your predictions would be, because there's a nomogram for this. And it's not even one, it's a Sloan Kettering one, but it's not one that I had anything to do with. I found it in the literature. It doesn't exactly predict the same endpoint, but it's pretty close. And they look at this and they say, well, why do you even have a nomogram for that? We don't need that because we have Gestalt, is what they say. So all the clinicians are looking. They all shake their head, yes. Yes, we have Gestalt. And I'm frustrated because I don't have this Gestalt, and I'm jealous. I don't know where they got it, but they have this Gestalt, and they're very excited by the Gestalt. But I get them to participate anyway. And Gestalt is strange stuff. I don't feel so bad now that I don't have it. But here is patient number 1. That is a letter as a doctor. This is Dr. U looking at patient number 1. If I had 100 patients just like this guy, about 5 would develop a positive bone scan within a year. Dr. V looking at the same patient with his Gestalt, or her Gestalt, I don't know. It's more like me. Same patient. Very different Gestalt. Lots of different Gestalts for most of these guys. These guys, no, even Jay on this one has different Gestalt. The red is what the number is predicting for the same patient. Circle is one who actually did develop a positive bone scan. So ideally, you'd go 100, 100, 0, 0. Yeah. Concordance index. That's the nomogram. This is all the tox. I showed this thing to some docs who said, well, hold on, this isn't fair. We're moving to shared medical appointments, and you need to read about the wisdom of crowds. And they don't know much about that at all. I hadn't heard of it. So I went to Wikipedia to learn about wisdom of crowds. And it goes like, if you don't already know this, the like if we're at the county fair, do you have get county fairs here? No. County fair is a horrible thing that we have, but you go to a deserted field and you eat popcorn and look at farm animals and other stuff. So you're not missing anything. Kind of like yourself. But we're at the county fair and there's a huge pig. You probably do. There's a huge pig here, and we're trying to play a game. Get away from the pig. I look at the pig and I say, I can't convert. I'm gonna have to cut some pounds. And you look, oh, you're crazy. That pig's every bit of 2,300 pounds. No, 1,900 pounds max. And we go through this thing, and we're all pretty bad. But if you take our average prediction, it's good. That's the wisdom of craft. We're all the average lousy predictors and get a good predictor. That's what you need to do here. So I started playing with that. So if I randomly sample 2 docs and look at the performance of that, that does do better than him as a whole. I get a little better up to 10 docs or so maybe, and it kind of flattens out. But I still don't really touch the performance of some of them. So what's going on there? It's not a doctor problem. It's a human being problem. At least I would say from the standpoint of constructing a predicted probability in your head. We're just not really built to do that very well, for the most part, most of us anyway. So the cognitive psychology guys who look at this activity, which they call multiple Q probability learning, where you're trying to understand what it is that matters in a prediction. They would argue you go through a process something like this. So you first acquire data. So in the clinical setting, you see patients, you get trained, you do research, you read research, you just get this knowledge base going. You somehow put that together and come up with your way of making a prediction. You then apply that to the individual patient, and then maybe you have a feedback with your patient, and you learn from that. The problem is there's biases we all have all along the way. So availability bias, for example, you can't remember all your patients equally well. The exotic one stands out. The run-of-the-mill patient gets a little bit lost in the shuffle and basically doesn't get enough weight in your model. You start weighting it with these exotic things that you can actually remember, which is bad for your little beta coefficients in your head. When it comes down to processing that, we pretty much all resort to heuristics. If Mother Nature is putting down a wickedly complicated formula, we're just going to go, the PhD over 10, that's high risk for me. And we just have to get it down to something we can handle. A couple of these, when it's time to predict, the wishful thinking bias is where we predict what we want to happen, not what we think is going to happen. And that's bias we have. And illusionary control bias is kind of similar. Let's say I predict this woman's chance of living 5 years is 80%. If I tell her 90, I can get it to 90. I can actually control the probability by delivering the prediction. Another bias that we've got, which is really hard to do, with the exception of maybe Warren Buffett can control the actual probability by making his opinion. The rest of it is pretty difficult. So where, in my world, where I would like to see things is something along the lines of comparative effectiveness. If I'm facing a difficult decision, and I have some treatment options, P1 and P2, I would like to know what's at stake, what are the benefits and harms, and how likely they are. So I want to see a table that looks something like that. But I want the probabilities tailored to me. That makes things so difficult and expensive. We get this kind of thing all the time on Amazon.com when you're shopping for a camera or something. You do that for easy, or picking players for your fantasy sports team if you do that. You get this kind of stuff, not very hard, it's pretty much free. But boy, when it comes to a medical problem, it's very tough to get this in a coherent way. I mean, we kind of try to patch this thing together by Google searches, but we're coming up with numbers that don't apply to us and studies that we can't read and have no business reading, but we sort of cobble it together to a degree. It's just not well done. But I would think this would be very helpful to a decision maker who's trying to compare the trade-offs. But in each of these cells is a formula. That's the expensive part. I've got to take the features of the patient, put those together as best I can, and get the probability tailored to that individual, so that when I look at this table and you look at the table, the numbers are going to be different and appropriate for each one of us. We do this a little bit. Here's a tough one to read, the diabetes calculator. You have type 2 diabetes and you're about to potentially start an oral medication to treat it. Plug in all of this stuff about you, a bunch of blood tests and history stuff. Drop down there, hit submit, and I'll give you a table. Table with controversy, but a table nonetheless. Here's 4 drug classes, the big 4 that you have to pick from, iguanides and so on. Here are 6 outcomes you might care about. You probably care about mortality, for sure. This is your risk of 6-year mortality from iguanides is about 1%. Goes up dramatically. And I'll color code it too. Green is best in the row, red is the worst in the row. The concept being, if these were the only outcomes you cared about and you believe this thing worked, if you had a solid green column, you actually would have a no-brainer situation on your hand. It would be best of breed for that drug class for each of the outcomes. I got pretty close, but I'm trading a little bit of this, a little bit of this, and a little bit of that. But I don't know. If I were plugging this in, I'd probably opt for the iguanides. Looks pretty good here. This came from data out of our electronic health record, not designed for research, and we'll fight you to do that if it's possible. But it's not the cleanest in the world. None of these models is perfect. Other weird things. It's red and green without regard to the increment of benefit. You can be just a little bit better and you go from red to green. I don't know a good way around that exactly. There's no measure of uncertainty in any of the predictions, which people don't like. Some people don't like. So I have no confidence intervals or such around my probabilities, which alienates some of my brethren. That is actually on purpose. I don't think confidence intervals around predicted probabilities are helpful. Well, I have 2 treatments, and I only care about one outcome. I probably want the one that's coming out better, and there's nothing else to consider. I have to pick one. I want the one that's apparently better, whether the confidence intervals overlap or not. I have to pick one. I'm ruling out costs and all this other stuff. So it's point estimates for me. For starters, I don't have a good sense to put the confidence interval in if I even want to use it. I could say I expect between lower and upper, but that's true of a bunch of different intervals, not necessarily the 95% one that I picked or whatever I picked. Or I could say your risk is between, but that's not really true either. There's lots of baggage there with that, so I just flat out do a point estimate, quickly move to the next slide and let you forget about that. That all came out of Epic. So under the hood there's a model under each cell, and we're just trying to come up with the best model that we can and continue to refine those. Here we go.
Would you convey a little bit of the confidence that you have with respect to the predictions that you make? I mean, it's not easy to go with this decision, then.
Yeah, it's a mess one. I have to pick a column, and it's still so. it kind of goes back to my favorite framework from what I've read is this work by, I can't remember his name, Gerdzinger. Is he? No, he's right. Written to me about communication and what seems to work better and what seems to not work so well. But summing it up, his argument is your best bet is to say something like, you know, if I have, say, 100 patients just like you, I expect 4 to have this or something like that. That sentence is probably the best bet if you're using a sentence. Something better than like percent. So where I come from, if you say percent, you lose, you know, half your audience right there or so. They don't know what to, maybe not an audience like this, but if I'm out in the street. So if I put it now, I still expect 4. You know, I might be more or less sure about 4, but it's still, I don't have a good way of describing that. The gray zone around the 4. I mean, today, it's 4. We're not going to solve this is just going to make you more upset with me in the next 5 minutes. We'll have to take this offline because I would like a better way out because I can't be helpful. I don't have.
Isn't that related to the extent to which your model captures all of these decisions? If you say, like, you know, there's really nothing else that counts, then it's only a point estimate. That's almost never the case. Nothing else counts. The cost that, you know, out-of-pocket cost is, well, there's 2 things that are pretty close and the costs overlap.
Well, I would say I would sort of meet you halfway on that. I would add cost to the bottom row and show you in that part of the trade-off maybe what your out-of-pocket or whatever the relevant cost there is. I think the magnitude of the difference is the best part of conveying the expected benefit from the more costly or less costly versus whether I think it's statistically significant. A bunch of models comes out of it. We do this fair amount. And, you know, the pushback, none of these are perfect, but again, it's just an alternative issue. I don't know something better if I'm going to convey benefits and harms. If I'm not going to keep the patient in the dark, then what's my best foot forward? Not that, you know, maybe it isn't controversial as to whether, let's say there is not a relevant decision that you've got some terrible disease that's not good, and there's no choices. You have one treatment and there's one way out. Well, you know, side effects there aren't terribly relevant. I got to do the thing. And so maybe communicating me the actual risks and calibrating me on that. A person like me probably doesn't do me any good. I wouldn't like to do that stuff. To be happy-go-lucky, I got to do this, hope it works. But certainly, there's money in the public health and other literature that dispute that and think that's still a bad idea. Part of the problem with getting more calculators out is the deployment part. So what, you know, I have to have data. I got to figure out what the question is. I have to have data. I got to do the modeling, and then I got to deploy it. On the deployment side, we've got this website, archive.skip.org, where we put a bunch of our models up. The coolest thing, though, about it is the button that says Make Your Own. That's for you guys, and most on that side of the room. If you have a model you want to deploy, you can go there and basically paste it in. You don't have to be a programmer or a web programmer or anything. Paste it in at R or whatever it is you're using, and it answers some housekeeping questions that are there. You know, what's the variables name? What's X1? What are the limits on that? And they say, okay, here's your URL, and you can share that with whoever you want. It's free. We got to keep that thing going. But some of these get enormous amounts of hits. Here, this isn't hit. This is page views. I have no idea what the difference is between page view and a hit. But they said the hits are way larger than page views. This is page views. There's hundreds of thousands of folks running these calculations on the memorial site. But there's an out of order. That's what your little control panel looks like. I pasted that in, and that control stuff, and calculate, and you know, just drop downs and stuff like that. Gives you, you know, kind of crappy looking calculator, but hey, it's free. And you can share that. We do integrate with Epic a little bit. So now the doctor's in Epic over here. He clicks that, it copies his PSAs and dates over here to get a doubling time calculation, so that he doesn't have to retype that kind of stuff. That's hard for us anyway to do. We're slowly working on that, getting them kind of built in. They will run on handheld devices. And I'm going to quit with, I do think personalized predictions are helpful and the key to informed consent and medical decision making. I would prefer the most accurate ones be used at all costs, just about, and it's probably coming from statistical prediction models. Clinical judgment groups, risk factor accounting, overall treatment effect given to all patients that comes from the RCT. I think this is all pale in comparison to this. But we do need to see more examples of these rival models going head-to-head on neutral data, because you can't really compare Model A and THETA 1 with Model B and THETA 2 to make a lot of sense out of that. But we don't need to provide patients with disease areas in the RC curve or the confidence intervals, but predictions and such that we get. Thank you, there. Got a few minutes for questions.
Better and better information about prognosis. One implication for things like life insurance market gets kind of part of the existence of life insurance is to deal with uncertainty. You can get away with diminishing risk and knowing what this particular patient's risks are, and then you may undermine the whole purpose of the life insurance industry and not allowing getting the ability to pay life insurance if they becomes viable by the insurance industry and stuff.
Right. Yeah, I don't know enough about how they determine eligibility based on your best estimate. That's an interesting question. I don't know.
Is there a medical need from different and p-value? Is that really?
Great question. So the two answers to that. One is what I would do in that setting is look at two regression models, one head-to-head, 169, 168, or 607. I would look at, and besides everything, just looking at calibration and maybe some other metrics, but again, to your point, let's say one appears to be slightly better on some metrics than the other one. I would next look at the scatter plot of the predictions coming from the two models and see to what degree they sit on the 45-degree line. Motivation being, if you're giving patients basically the same number from the KMT model versus the beginning model, then I'd say it's probably not worth it. This extra input is not routinely billable or expensive or basic or something like that. But I think the best way to make sense out of that, because I agree it's hard to know. But I would say if it's not more than 0.005 on an AUC, I bet you're going to be very bored with the scatter plot. It's going to be right on. I'm working on some other methods. They're not ready for prime time yet on some fancier.
When you talk about predictive probabilities, like the Oxford tools like this,
Yeah.
are those prediction models built from the same data as the different data sets?
Different data sets. That was the text, the one with the letters for the doctors and the nomogram and the red. Yeah, that was a test set not used to build anything. So,
The AOCs and the
yeah. Yeah, it's that data set, but it's not one that was used to build that model, the statistical model, or patients with any of those doctors had seen. Not that they would probably be able to figure that out.
I guess the question is, in general, how you manage the model.
Exactly. So ideally, I might have a test set around. That's a luxury more than anything, but cross-validation or bootstrapping or something like that to do some resampling. That's what I could.
I want to go back to your example where you talked about early on where you had that patient who came in and saw the radiation.
Yeah.
And then went to the urologist.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the thing is, I'm trying to think where you would get valid data set to predict the relative survival or outcome from randomized data. So I guess you see like most of your data are from patient data sets.
Yes.
And you so on.
Right.
Not taking advantage of the power of the patient that maybe. Right. So where randomized estimation forming this judgment of the relative
Yeah.
surgery.
Great question. I don't have it. I don't have randomized data in this setting. Very hard to randomize patients to these two aggressive therapies that not only did the clinicians generally not want to play that, but it's hard to find patients that.
You did, though. So you had a bunch of randomized trials.
Right.
You included meta-analysis, maybe.
Oh, yeah. You
And
a lot of
you also had some access to those visually. Is there a way to put together your ability to predict at an individual level, but also on patient level?
Yeah, I mean, I think at a minimum, I would model the two treatment arms and be able to provide predictions that way so that I was not giving, if I just provide them with the randomized trial data and they get the overall hazard ratio or something, they all get that same number. I'd rather model the treatment arm separately and give them predictions coming from each arm so that they could kind of use that piece of it. Steyerberg, so other folks, you guys did it too, but other folks will model it, but include a term for the treatment and then potential interactions. I find that actually harder to do because I don't want to. I'm a little comfortable pre-specifying stuff or overdoing it. I'd rather optimize two treatments.
So one thing that you usually experiment with that quantitative and see what
Yeah. We started a trial where we randomized patients to three arms. One is in prostate cancer. One is standard of care. Whatever, good luck. Arm two, you get the comparative effectiveness table with 4 treatments on it and about 6 benefits and harms. You get that tailored view, pull it out. Say, look at that. You're free to pick what you want, but by the way, there's things going to happen if you do that. Arm 3, you got a Murray-Cron decision analysis. So you got your utilities assessed for the potency, continence, all that stuff. We ran the model on them, said, you're free to pick whatever you want. For a person that looks like you with your characteristics and your preferences, it looks like the best treatment for you is probably, and then we gave one with the higher, by any level, quality. We accrued for that. We're still in follow-up. Following for regret, which I like to do. And overall health utility experience. I think we did some early on decisional conflict stuff right at the time. Yeah, but it's a small study. I do, push come to shove, I don't have any evidence that this helps with anything wrong, that this informed me. Yeah, well, I mean, you saw the hits on that thing. So, granted, I don't know whether they're clinicians or patients or, teenagers in China or whatever. Who knows? Certain do, some do. Yeah, I know some that do, and they're passionate about it, and I know some that hate this crap. They won't do it. Yeah, right. I can't quite definitively tie that up. That would be for
Dave, I would like to conclude the round. Thanks, Michael, for coming.
Thank you. I didn't have to do that. Thank you.
And one little announcement. I guess a big talk to everybody wants to come every day. And keep the, all your numbers and.
I just said,
And last round in 2 weeks from today.